Mujewale, Mujewale, Mujewale. My name is Bani Kivuka, and welcome to another episode of the Ugandan Boy Talk Show. Welcome once again on the Ugandan Boy Talk Show for another episode. I'm so honored to bring back my friend Edith on the show. I hosted her. If you've been following my episodes, I had her in the earlier episodes, and she was talking about her life and how my childhood and her childhood kind of are the same. And we have a lot in common with her. Probably like 90% of our life is like the same. So Edith, welcome again here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So how has your life been?
Um, stressful.
Yeah.
I had last month was awful. I had a manic episode, so I was at home all month. I wasn't working. I was just sleeping. And then I started school, so
Yeah.
that's good, but it's just stress. Lots of stress.
I have noticed you've not been being consistent on your podcast, so I'm gonna call you out on this one.
It's good. It's good. Also, I was waiting for my equipment. I was waiting
Yeah.
for my microphone, which, as you can see, I got a microphone, and then I need to replace my headphones. I got a computer to edit so that it sounds better. And also, I'm gonna steal your idea and do the videos like you've been doing.
Yeah.
And then also my depressive episode happened, so that like just stopped me from doing everything.
Right. Yeah. I don't know where I got the idea of. I think people were commenting like, "Hey, would love to see your guests like on video," and I kind of just thought about it. I never thought that I could use Zoom and then like record the videos, but I had it and I had everything to do it. I just didn't have the idea, but yeah, I did it, and now it looks great. And
I mean,
yeah,
once
just
you're
to
consistent, it grows and you get
yeah,
more.
yeah. People have supported me subscribing, and I just take it like that. I mean, not going too much crazy, but I do a little things here and there, but because I mean, this is not like a job or something. It's just a hobby, something to do
Exactly.
in your free time. But so yeah, the other thing I'm gonna apologize that I recorded something with you that we didn't publish because the time we recorded it, then I started doing the videos and we didn't have a video for that. But this time, we're gonna try to get it right, and it should be out. People will enjoy it. But
That is okay. I am willing to redo this better.
yeah, but for a long time, I've always wanted to do the topic about did you heal or did you just force yourself to forget? And like I wanted to listen to people's stories about what they had to go through and whether they either healed or they forced themselves to forget. And following your podcast, and at this point, I'll tell all my listeners to go check out Edith Naigaga's podcast. It's called Voice of Dembe on Spotify, and go listen to her stories and more episodes like she had there. Actually, I stole the idea from her to start the podcast, so that's a shout out.
But you're doing better than I am.
But yeah, I wanted to do the topic to just talk about either if somebody healed or they just forced themselves to forget. And I'm thinking that this episode will help a lot of people who are going through different things, struggling with different things. But like, I want you to just tell us either if you healed or something that was going on in your life. And
Yeah. So, well, obviously, not all memories are long term. So we don't get to like the choice to keep the memories that we have, like childhood memories. So we forget them or they disappear because that's part of like a healing process of forgetting yourself. I mean, letting yourself forget.
right.
I personally think, yes, it's possible to force yourself, but I don't think it's a good idea to just like let yourself forget about trauma or abuse or anything that's happened, which me personally, I've done that before. I let myself forget. I let myself not heal the right way, which there are right ways to heal. And also, there's a quote by, I'm not gonna pronounce his name right. Virinka Tugaliva, I think. It says emotional pain cannot kill you, but running from it can. Allow, embrace, let yourself feel, and let yourself heal. So it's encouraging you to let yourself feel that pain. Like, let's say if you have a death in the family, let yourself feel it. Don't just be like, oh, it's happened, everybody dies, let me move on, which
Right.
I've done that a lot because I've had a lot of death in my family. So usually when somebody dies, I'm just like, okay, surprise, surprise, who's next? And I just move on from it. And then a few months later, it hits me and I start feeling that pain. And I'm like, I need to release because I've bottled it up. So I'll start having random episodes in my car. I have panic attacks. I just start crying randomly because I'm not letting myself heal the right way.
Do you ever like, I mean, you might have talked about it, but do you ever have like continued thoughts and memories about the event that happened to you or something that happened to you?
Yes. So that comes with the not letting yourself heal. I get the intensive memories that I don't want to get. I get paranoid. I stop sleeping. I'm in distress. Like I said, I had an episode last week. I mean, last month. Like I'm just, yeah, like I said, paranoid. I can't sleep. I'm distressed. I have anxiety. I'm afraid of everything. And then like all those memories just come in and they're unwanted because you forced yourself to heal. Those memories just throw themselves at you unexpectedly and unwantedly. And it's very overwhelming.
And like, do these like, do these, some of these like thoughts, or do they come through dreams, or like how do they come, in what situation?
They'll usually come when, let's say, I'm stressing out about, I don't know, financial issues. I'll be thinking about that. And then all of a sudden, I just start thinking about past memories, past abusive memories, or like past people that have died that I didn't let myself think about, or friendships that have ended. So it'll just happen when I'm deep in thought about something, or I don't think they've ever come in a dream for me, but I would say to some people it probably does. But they do say that dreams are, they interpret like your future or your past. So
Yeah.
maybe I have like a dream that means something, but I don't know. I don't really follow those dreams because they're future.
So do you ever have like difficult time when anything that triggers the memory about the event that happened to you? And also, like, to give our listeners a glimpse of, can you just elaborate a little bit of what you went through, and do you ever have like those difficult times to when you
Yeah.
remember that?
So in my last episode on my podcast, this is the main reason why I had my episode, my manic bipolar episode last month. In my last episode, I talked about abuse. That's the title. And when I talked about that, I gave examples of how I was mentally, physically, and sexually abused as a child, as an adult, and as a teenager. So with that, after I shared that, I had like a hard time coming up from it. I thought that sharing it would help me, because that's why I created my podcast, is to share my story, and it's therapeutic for me, and it would help me move on from past stuff, and just basically therapy, just telling my story to everybody and make them feel better. And I thought that's what was going to happen, but it's not what happened. What happened is it just put me in a depressive state, and it just made me shut down and close everybody off, close the world off, and just stay in my room for a whole month, which that's not a good thing. And I think the reason that happened is because I held on to these things and did not talk to a therapist or my parents or a doctor to get treatment about this. I just held on to it until I decided to let it go. And then
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you, like, do you try to avoid people, places, conversations, or any objects that or activities that associate with your trauma?
Yeah, so those are called triggers. I try to find out what my triggers are before they happen. And or if I'm around somebody and they do something that will trigger me, then I'll avoid them. I did have a point in my life where I couldn't go into grocery stores or big stores. I had to like either have somebody with me or be on the phone with somebody, and that like ruins your life if you can't do the simple stuff like that. So every day I would have somebody on the phone with me, and I would go in, or I would just go home and not grocery shop.
Wow. Yeah, I could imagine. Like, I personally, don't have any experience on that. And like when I was listening to your podcast, I was like, I can't imagine what you go through having the trauma in you. But I'm so glad that you are here to speak about it. And like anybody out there listening, you could be helpful and they could be going through the same thing you had to go through. And
Mhm.
from that point, like, do you ever have negative beliefs about yourself, like such as like I'm bad, people are untrustworthy? Like, do those ever come to you?
Yeah, so this is funny because a few days ago I was talking to my mom, my stepmom, on the phone about why I don't trust my family back home. And she told me, is it because a cousin of mine bullied me when I was living with their family in Kenya? And she would say that, oh, her mom pays for all this stuff and my mom doesn't do anything. And then she would like get kids to gang up on me at school and they would beat me up.
Oh,
So she told me maybe the reason I don't trust my family is because this one person that I used to be close to betrayed me and like just destroyed. Like this happened to me as a child. I would think I was 7 when this happened. So to me, yeah, I have times where I'm untrusting. I don't really trust people. And then I have times where I think maybe I deserve these things. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm not worthy of like anything,
oh,
friendships or having family members around me. And sometimes like I do have like suicide thoughts, which it's been a year since my last one.
yeah.
But sometimes I feel maybe if I just jump, you know, everyone will be better off without me. So
But
yeah.
what helps you get over that when those thoughts come into your head?
I started podcasting a year ago.
Yeah.
Like, well, I don't do it as much because every time I share a story, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm having a meltdown. But podcasting did help. Writing, music helps. I got a dog. He helps a lot.
Mhm.
Um, Talking to people helps. Therapy helps. And I'm also considering trying treatments, going to a doctor and getting medication because I've heard it works for some people, but I just don't want to have to depend on it. Shopping online is not good, but it helps me. um, yeah, so those are some things. Hiking helps,
Yeah.
like just nature, going out helps.
Yeah,
Having good friends.
shopping online, that yeah, that's my biggest problem.
That's not self-care, but it helps.
Uh,
Also
uh-huh.
prayer
Yeah.
helps. I'm participating in Lent this year because my mom's side of the family is Catholic. So that has helped a lot because I'm trying to turn my life around and
What did you
bring
give up
God
for
back in
Lent?
my life. Chick-fil-A. I eat Chick-fil-A every day.
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A and soda.
Oh
That's what I
wow.
get. 'Cause
Yeah,
I eat.
we don't have Chick-fil-A where I moved. It's like in the middle of nowhere, so I never
That's
get to
maybe
eat.
I should have moved there for Lent.
But yeah, so now do you ever blame yourself for this trauma?
Yeah, sometimes like well earlier in the last question that you asked, I told you I feel worthless. I feel like I deserved maybe I
Mhm.
deserved these things to happen to me. So yes, which that's normal for victims to blame themselves for things that have happened. But at the end of the day, I've tried to talk to myself and realize that it's not my fault. These
Mhm.
people that do this have issues, you know? That's what I tell myself. They're sick or they have issues that they gotta solve on their own. So I just have to keep telling myself it's not about me, it's about them.
Yeah.
Like, it's not me, it's you, the breakup line. that's what that's what I tell myself to
Yeah.
make myself feel better. And it helps.
Yeah.
It helps because it's the truth though. If you think about it, that is the truth. It's not really if something happens, if someone bullies you at school or
Mhm.
online, or like let's say you're making a podcast and someone makes mean comments, it's not about you. It's about they just have a problem. You know, they have
Yeah.
issues that they gotta deal with.
Yeah, I did an episode a while back because somebody at work, I didn't want to even say at work, but like somebody uh made a comment like you're dumb because you grew up in a third world country. And I was like, really? Like I made a whole episode about that and like just telling people that I don't think you can judge somebody um, from being born in like a third world country, you know, and I was
Yeah.
just going crazy about it. But that makes perfect sense. Like it's not about me. Like I know who I am, and that's basically what I told him. Like I don't think growing up in a third world country affects me or makes me dumb. I know who I am, and I know like there are things I need to learn. There are things I want to learn, but I'm not dumb. And I told
Exactly.
him,
There's things you improve about yourself every day, every year of your life, but there's nothing wrong with growing up in another country.
Mhm.
America's a third world country and we live here. I'm just kidding.
But like even to like I was just telling him that we have a lot of experience. Like somebody to grow up in a third world country, come try to start a life in America and like things like you go through a lot. So it takes courage and determination to go through all that.
And you
But
see a
like,
lot and you learn
mhm.
a lot more. You're more multicultural than people
Yeah.
that have just stayed here. So
But yeah, not like to leave the track, but are there some of the things in your life that have made like you have less interest in the activities that you used to enjoy that have been affected by this trauma?
yeah, I how do I put this? Like I tend to start things and not finish them. That's that's because of the trauma. So I'll start something and I feel like, okay, this is not for me. This is
You
not
better
who
finish
I'm
the
supposed
podcast.
to. Okay. I'm gonna I'm gonna finish that one. Okay.
If
I'm
you
gonna
quit,
start
I'll
it.
find you and I'll bring you back.
I moved. I'm moving back to Uganda. Um no, but I found like because playing guitar, I stopped doing that for a while. Now I'm getting back on it. Um I stopped focusing on acting, which that's my biggest passion. The thing I'm doing right now, I'm just doing it because of the money. I don't want to do it. But I want to I'm not really I tend to stop following my dreams and my goals because I feel like, oh, maybe I can't do it. Maybe I'm not good enough for this stuff.
Mhm.
So that is part of that. Like it just makes you, start something and not finish it, which is not, it's really not a good trait. And I'm trying to
Yeah.
learn to stop that. But someday I'll get
Yeah,
there.
I don't like studying something and don't finish it. It makes me feel really, really bad. Like, but there are things that I've studied and like I lose interest and then you just stop. But
Mm.
do you ever find difficult to like express love, joy, and happiness and satisfaction?
Yes, all the time, which that's there were tips that I saw somewhere for healing, and that was one of them. You gotta
Mhm.
learn to love. And I was like, ain't nobody got time for that. No. I think the reason why like I find it hard to love is because I've been betrayed a lot by family members. And if you listen
Mhm.
to the abuse story, you can hear that the people that have mostly had that negative effect on me are my family members. And family is where you're supposed to learn how to do these things first.
Right.
So with that, like I have a hard time, like I said in the beginning, trusting people and being open to like loving people, which maybe I'll get there. I mean, I love God, but
Yeah.
I love myself. Which that's a good start. Loving
Mhm.
yourself. That's
Yeah.
always a good place to start. I love myself more than anybody. So hopefully someday I'll be open to loving and trusting family members, especially and strangers. I want to say like I'm more trusting
Stressful.
though than anyway. You gotta trust strangers. I want to say that I'm more trusting though than anybody because I tend to be open minded
Mhm.
and sorry, the sun's like setting. But I tend to be open minded and try to like give people the benefit of the doubt rather than just being like, oh, you're this or somebody said this about you. I'm not gonna, So I try to be, but then when I do that, I tend to be let down. And every time that happens, I'm like, okay, why am I giving people chances? What's the point?
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah, I would imagine like one thing I was just thinking when you're talking is like family members and how you would think like when you're going through like a trauma, your family members should be behind your back and support you, but sometimes it's not like that. Some of them are just they don't know, like they don't know what's going on. They're just especially like when people are back in Africa, like they don't know what life is. Because like growing up, I've never had anybody in Uganda talk about depression or like addressing depression. So like you
No.
gotta deal with it. Or like if you have it, like what they don't
Mhm.
have a solution for that.
Yeah, I had a podcast about that's funny. I had a podcast episode about that. How they don't talk about depression back home or anywhere in Africa. They're just like, oh, you're African, you're supposed to be strong. Oh, you're African,
Mhm.
you're not supposed to be sad or deal with it. I had family members tell me that when my parents used to travel to the States a lot and they would leave me with family members. And I had people telling me, oh, what? You're sad. You're African. You're an African woman. You're supposed to be strong, independent. And I'm like, okay, but like I'm feeling these emotions. Why aren't we talking about this? And
Mhm.
I feel like I think this is happening in some countries. I do know there is a podcaster in Kenya that's doing a trauma station for women that have been sexually abused to go and talk about it. Um, but I hope that someone or me, I don't want to start it and not finish it. So I hope someone can at least open like a counseling center in
Right.
Uganda and well, since I'm half Kenyan and Kenya, to
Yeah.
for teenagers, especially because people think that oh, teenagers are going through puberty. That's why they're just they're just being teenagers. But in some cases, that's not it. Some
Mhm.
cases, they're actually like hurting on the inside and thinking about because me as a teenager, mine was not definitely that was not puberty. I was depressed, I was lazy. I talk about this in
Yeah.
my podcast. I was not cleaning, like I was done. And my parents just thought, oh, you're lazy, you're being a teenager, you don't want to do this. And they didn't understand until now. They're like, wait a minute, we should have paid more attention to this
Mhm.
than before.
Yeah, that's something that's been on my mind ever since I left college. I've been thinking about that, like how as nobody has ever said anything about that, and that's one of the plans I have to start like a counseling group or ministry in Uganda or like a program. And I'm working with my parents back home to see how we can do that. I'm gonna do an episode once I have everything like planned out to just talk about what I plan to do. But yeah, and domestic violence too, like parents that go through domestic violence, they need like counseling and some
Mhm.
encouragement in their lives because nobody is there. People there can't afford to go to a counselor, you know. Like there's some things that we need to. So that's back of my mind, something I want to do. And when it's ready, I will come on here and talk about it. Dealing with trauma, do you ever like lose sleep when something is on your head and like you can't find sleep or do concentration?
Yeah, I have a problem, which I think I might be ADHD. I haven't been diagnosed with that, but I have a problem with focusing, especially in class and falling asleep at night. But what I tend to do with that is I just take a shower with melatonin. There's like a
Mhm.
soap that they invented and it just knocks me out. But if I don't do that, then I'm not gonna sleep. Like I'll stay up. Like last night, I was up all night long. I haven't
Oh.
slept for a minute because it's just thoughts are running through my head.
Mhm.
So yeah, there's a lot of like sleep deprivation happening with this.
Yeah. Do you ever go in a constant state of like worrying, like something bad is gonna happen, something is gonna happen to me, or like do you ever worry about that?
Oh, yes. So when that happens, I tend to just stay home because I'm thinking maybe God's sending me a sign
Mhm.
not to go out, like something's gonna happen. Because I'm very religious like that. I'm
Yeah.
very spiritual. But I do or most of my worry comes from worrying about my dad. I'm worried that I'm gonna lose because he's like the last basically I feel like he's the last thing that I have from the people that I've lost in the past, the last closest person that I have. And if I lost him, I don't know what would happen to him. So most of the time when I'm worrying, I'm thinking about my dad. I'm like, oh, what if this happens to him? And then I start crying for no reason. I'm
Right.
crying as if he's dead and he's not. I'm like, oh no, what if
Yeah.
my dad jumps or something and now I'm sad and I'm
Mhm.
depressed, I'm at home not doing anything. So it's a lot of like it's too much for me and I wish it could go away and I wish medication was that easy that it could go away, but it's not. I've tried so many different medications in the past that haven't worked and I'm willing to keep trying, but it's really not that easy.
We're coming to the end of this episode, but like, so to put it in summary, do you think on the events that happened to you, do you think you healed or you forced yourself to forget or you were in the middle or a combination of all of them?
I think I'm in the combination. I want to say that I think I'm still learning how to
Right.
heal. Like I'm it's a journey for me. I'm like on a journey to figure out the right way to do this. And there's no right way to do it. Everybody has their different ways, their different paths. So I think I will get there soon, hopefully. But it's a journey, it's a process, it takes time.
Right. Yeah. I want to appreciate you for just spending some time and talk with me through this topic. I know it's hard to express yourself, especially the things that you had to go through that are hard for you, and just talk about them. You're trying to avoid to think about it, but then here I'm having a podcast where I want you to talk about that's so bad. But like I appreciate that. Now, is there anything that I haven't talked about that you would want to say before we finish the podcast?
No, but like I would just like to like leave with a quote. Like let go. Why are you clinging to pain? There's nothing you can do about the wrong things of yesterday. It is not yours to judge. Why hold on to the very thing which keeps you from hope or love?
That's a good quote. Yeah, I also have one in my notes that I want to leave out. It's from Michael Template. He wrote and say like, always remember, if you have been diagnosed with PTSD, it's not a sign of weakness. Rather, it's a proof of your strength because you have survived. And that's what I want to leave with everybody like listening and has been following this conversation that we had. And also, I want to ask you the question. I know I asked the last episode I had you, what gets you excited about life? I want to see if your answer changed.
Food.
So it's
Tacos. It's
so
always
it is
food.
Yeah.
It doesn't change. Every time someone tries to bribe me with money, I'm like, no, bribe me with food. You will get me in a van with food.
Yeah.
When I kidnap me, bring food.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate your time and hope to see you in another one. And I can't wait to hear more episodes coming from you. And I'm waiting for those. I'll set up a reminder just for you for like
just harass me, text me, like send lots of messages. I will post them. But thank you so much for having me.
All right, thank you, Edith. Hey there, I am Bonnie Kibuka, the host of the Ugandan Boy Talk Show. Thanks for watching my video, and don't forget to hit subscribe and share with a friend. Tune in every Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time for a new episode about my podcast. And for more information about this podcast, follow me on my Instagram page, talk_show_256.